Hey, comic fans, thanks for tuning in. During the late 70s, DC was pumping out comics to try and gather some of the audience that was really into Conan the Barbarian at the time. Some of those titles was Beowulf, Claw, Warlord, and what makes it interesting is Warlord, out of all the titles that they released during the 70s, Warlord was the one that actually people caught on and started to really like and pay attention. When issue 48 came out, this is back in 1981, there was a special sneak preview of a character called ARAK. ARAK. And this was his first appearance. ARAK was the Son of Thunder. He is basically a Native American warrior, an adventurer, and he was raised by Vikings, born to the congress of a thunder god named He-Nu, and his human mother, Star of Dawn. His destiny leads him to conquer many great opponents. He was a member of the Quacatula tribe. His descendants include Flying Fox of the Young All-Stars, and ARAK, Windwalker of Helix. And ARAK, this one, the Red Hand, was created by Roy Thomas and Ernie Colin, and that was his first appearance, was back in Warlord number 48. I don't have many issues of ARAK, because it came out, like I said, early 80s, mid 80s, and it was a short-lived comic at the time. It went from number 1 to number 50. And it is a fictional comic that DC released, and it was a Conan knockoff. And it lasted for quite some time, actually. His full name is Bright Sky After Storm, so they call him ARAK as for short. And it was an ongoing series. It was a venture. It started September of 81, lasted for 50 issues, like I said. So up till about November of 85, that's when they finally canceled the series. At least they canceled it on a good number. Interesting fact about this, though, was during the 80s, when there was a big comic to toy revolution. We're talking Star Wars, G.I. Joe. Well, Warlord was one of those toy lines that actually came out. They kind of look like a bad ripoff of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. But along that line, that was released by a company called Remco, ARAK was one of the characters that they released during that line. And his stories never overlapped Warlord. So it was actually kind of interesting fact that they were trying to push this character so much that they even overlapped it in Warlord's toy line. So there was some time that they used this character to do a little bit of time traveling, where he did meet up with All-Star Squadron, I think around issue number 55. And that was during the Crisis on Infinite Earths. So that was his major tie-in for the rest of the DC universe that they'd created. And so after the first issue, he does continue to go on a lot of Conan-esque like adventures and swinging like a hero, much like Travis Morgan, which is the Warlord. He becomes an ally of Careless Magnus, or the Charmanga, and befriends several of his knights. He enters a relationship with Velda, the Iron Maiden. After a time, he leaves his court on a mission to the Pope. From there, he sets off to search for his destiny. ARAK encounters many creatures and races from myths and legend, gods, heroes, demons. At one point, he dies and encounters his father, who he knew, who explains his origin and offers him a place at his side. So he was offered a place among the gods. ARAK refuses, and he was wanting to find the remains fragments of his tribe. Now wandering across North America, seeking a new home in anger, Hinura returns his son to his body, but gives him a single feather from his enormous headdress of power. From this point on, ARAK gains the ability to see spirits and are resistant to magic. He becomes a shaman. Although he still concentrates the majority of his skills on his warrior training, eventually he bids farewell to his friends and sails from Japan across the Pacific back to North America. He finds his people, leads them to an island off the west coast of Canada, where they remain at peace. On his deathbed, his father appears to him, tells him that he loves him, leaves a mystic cloak for a descendant who is promised will aid the world when they need it the most. And then ARAK, which is his real name, is Bright Sky After Storm, dies happy. So it's another one of these comics that actually that were released, and they're all pretty good, decent shape. You know, a little bit of color bends on the covers, but they're still actually pretty interesting reads, considering their Native American, Canadian, North American folklore that they've created. It's been around for a long, long time, and like a lot of you, definitely look on eBay for back issues. And I'm sure even your local hobby store will have a ton of these in the discount bin. And there is some key issues because it is a character that lives and dies, and obviously they can DC's really well known for resurrecting a lot of characters in new dimensions or another worlds or whatever they choose. But this is actually a pretty cheap series and a pretty good read. I'm sure there's a graphic novel or one of those big, thick reprint books that they always have that Marvel and DC have, like the first 20 issues of the comic or whatever. But I mean, some of the cover art that I have out of the 5-6 issues that I have are actually pretty interesting. Good color, lots to say about it, about the actual character itself and what you might foresee inside the issue, and they're relatively cheap. So even on like a good mid-grade, so we're talking anywhere from 2.0 to an 8.0, you're going to get these issues for anywhere from $1 to $10. And the only ones that might actually cost you money is probably number 1 or number 50. And technically, there isn't that many key issues that change the DC world that's found in this series. But overall, it's a good series to read. Quick reads. It is an ongoing adventure, so it's actually kind of good if you try and buy them in groups of more than just singles. But yeah, for the price and for the age, for a 30-year-old book, to pay a couple bucks for a good couple of hours of enjoyment and probably a lifetime of beautiful artwork, I would say recommend going out and checking it out. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more.